Hi everyone! Hello, how are we doing today? I have had a very long, very slow kind of day, so I'm very excited to just be here, sitting, relaxing, having a chill time, doing something creative, hanging out with you guys. Today's mug of the day is this lovely $5 mug that I just got from Target. I know, very, very girly of me. Excited for chill burbs. Target mug, Target mug. Yes. So, for anyone who wasn't here for the last burb stream, look at this large man over there. We had our little owl episode last week, and we just have owl and itty bitty owl. The itty bitty owl has been a hit with a lot of people, so I'm very happy that he came to be. Although I still think that the sea scamp is my favorite boy. Just what a good creature. Yes, today we are on a mission just to finish off Bestiary February, because this event ends, of course, today, the end of this month. It might already technically be over, I don't know, depending on what actual time it ends, but it's not really a big challenge, so I don't think it matters specifically when we finish up all of our work. Oh, it says the article must be submitted before 7 p.m. Anvil time. I think I already did that. Let's see what Anvil time is right now. Yellow. Anvil time is 23:28. Yeah, I think that's a little after 7. Just a little bit. 7 p.m. Yeah, so like the time for submission is over, but mine is already submitted, so it's totally fine. I think we can just edit it however much we want. It's not a big challenge. There's no like locking of articles, I don't think, for this. So I'm just gonna make some more birds. I'm gonna just add some more. The more the merrier, right? And so, last Tuesday, we had our little seabird episode. And that was where we got our beloved longboy. And the brine shear, our nice diving seabird. And of course, then on Saturday we had owl episode. Got a little reedling owl. We got a barn owl. Little orangey, a little more flavor to my region. And the great bearded owl. And so today we have the great question. What do we want to do today? And so my idea that I went into this with was maybe we do a magical episode. Because all the birds up until now have been very normal creatures. Like, very normal creatures. One might even say very real life like IRL birds. But there is indeed magic in my world, and there's actually quite a lot of it, just not in the region I'm like developing, not in the region that I focused on with the birds that I've already done. But one of the neighboring regions, like one that they're pretty close to, is quite magical in nature, and they have a lot of magical creatures. There are just reasons why they very rarely leave that area. But what if one day one of these little anomalous creatures just kind of somehow broke out of that zone and found their way into this very non-magical region? And so part of me, let's just scoot over here to the prompt list. So there is, of course, prompt 7, which is the mythical prompt. I imagine maybe some of these magical birds, some of these magical creatures might have found their way into our Savella and have basically been kind of dismissed as myths. Like, you didn't see that. That's just like this made up thing that people tell stories about, you know? And I think that could be a fun one to go into. But then that begs the question, what makes this bird so strange and so magical that people think it's some kind of anomaly whenever they see it? That is a very good question, I would say. And we could also maybe see, we could do one that's colorful. Or, hmm, we could have one be danger. The danger. A little parasite bird. Food bird. Messenger bird. You know, since messenger was one of the prompts, I was almost thinking like, we started off the event with a pigeon that was bred from the carrier pigeon but has been completely dumbed down in the process. What if we made the carrier pigeon that they came from? That they were bred from originally? I thought that could be really fun, a really fun way to like close out the event. Just like, here's where we started and here's where we ended up. And then we flip it because we started with where they ended up and we end with where they started. I don't know, I'm really getting in my head about this. All the time that I should have spent thinking about what I'm gonna do outside of stream, I'm instead doing like right now as I'm sitting here. That's okay. I have like a whole 2 hours to just hang out and vibe and do whatever. And so let's see. Maybe. Mm. Okay, so there are different flavors of magic in my world. And so the flavors of magic, which would be most likely seen coming from this region into Arsavella, would be nature magic, like wild magic, and arcane, being like pure magic. And so, I think the wild magic side is a lot closer to this region where we're actually looking at. And so, what if. Hmm. I'm almost thinking. Okay, so bear with me here. I'm almost thinking about a bird that maybe camouflages way too well with leaves. Like, it just looks like a flying leaf or something. How would I draw that? How would I do that? Like, what if. Hmm. We'll toss this up on screen. We will see. One of those leaf moths, yeah. Like the little camouflaging buggies that just look like leaves. Hmm. Now let us consult. I'm gonna look on Google to see what like interesting leaf shapes exist, and maybe we could like cobble something together. Like if we're inspired by like a certain type of leaf. Leaf hummingbird? Ooh. You know, that actually sounds really precious. I love the idea of a leaf hummingbird. Okay, okay. You know, I can definitely work with that. And and I imagine they'd be so small and so hard to like catch and get like a good look at that anyone who sees one in this region where such a thing is just like so strange and unheard of, like, they have no real way of confirming exactly what they've seen. I also just think of like hummingbirds in real life as like they're such like they're so little and so, they are magical to me. Like I feel like they're just these magical little fey creatures, you know what I mean? They're so small and dainty and oh, they just got the little snoots and they're so good. They're such good little creatures. Okay, so let's see what a little hummingbird might look like. I haven't actually spent a whole ton of time looking at hummingbirds. Yeah, so if we just have a little hummingbird that looks, maybe it looks like a leaf, or maybe it's composed of leaves. Like literally made from leaves. That'd be fun and interesting. I don't know, let us gaze upon the common hummingbird. The hummingbird of the real life. Just see what kind of shapes we're working with and what they look like normally. They're so little. They're so small. I love them. So yes, I think we absolutely can work with leaf hummingbird. I just type in a little bit. All right. All right. Oh no, where's my pen? Oh no. Secured. Pen received. All right, so let's just turn on one of these, so I can just very quickly grab the color. I'll sketch color. Do I have the right brush out? Is that it? Oh, it's a little big. Aha, that's why. Okay, we are oriented. And so let's see. Yeah, I really like the very fanned out tail. It's very, I could really work with something like that. Like if we imagine what a fern kind of looks like, maybe, oh man, okay, so let us start out maybe with just like the general shape of a hummingbird so I don't get too ahead of myself. So let's just kind of, very pointy. I feel like I'm not doing this bird nearly enough justice with just this quick sketch. Like not even close. Oh my gosh. Okay, it doesn't have to be exact. Yeah, if anyone saw me on my starting screen just like typing at nobody, my brain cell is just not going today. So anything that I attempt to do today, it'll either work out spectacularly or it won't work at all. Like I'm out here forsaking my arts education, that kind of situation, you know what I mean? Not that my arts education ever really taught me how to like draw birds, but I digress. So that vaguely looks like a hummingbird, I would say. I would argue. Not perfect, but there he is. Maybe they got the little curly feet. Maybe got the little eyeball. Boom. Beautiful little creature. And so now I'm trying to conceptualize how I'm going to make this a little leaf creature. I most certainly, like, okay, I am thinking about kind of like how, imagine this is like the little butt, bird butt. And here goes like where the tail will go. So if we just turn this sketch down, that'll be our base. And we will just build around this silhouette of bird. I'm thinking this will be kind of like the center point, kind of like the stem off of which this tail is kind of going. And so what if we just have like a little, what if we have like something like this just kind of going? And that's like, it's kind of like how the tail is going to function. It's like a little flowy little leaf boy. And this on its own is kind of leafish. What was message? Okay. Little bird feet. I don't know, if I was a little smarter, I would find a way to put this into better perspective. But regardless, it's like little birdie feathers. I don't know, maybe if I just like tuck in this side a little bit. And I can maybe like pretend that it is. Pretend that that's how perspective works. It looks a little more turned around slightly. Hello, brush, please work. Why is the brush not working? That's because I have something selected. Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, I hate when I just leave a tiny little selection on my canvas and then suddenly I can't do anything anymore because it's like, oh, nope. You have this little pixel of your canvas selected. Sorry, you can't draw right now, buddy. And so, what if he's like a little guy? He's just wrapped up in leaves. Like a little guy. And he's got his head like a little poking out. There's just like a little mass of leaves. A little leaf hoodie. Yeah, he's all like tucked in. He's all just like curled up in there. And so it just kind of looks to anyone else like it's just like there's just some kind of leaf or something. Bundle of leaves just kind of rolling around in the winds, but no, it's a little guy. A little bird. Kind of got like a butterfly wing vibe going on here. With a little like, a little this and this. But he's cute. He's just a little sweetie. Little eyeball poking out. Yes. So he's just a little leafy boy. No, it didn't quite turn out the way I envisioned it. Oh, Shiffers, hello, welcome with your snake lady. How do you do? we have a leaf bird. I don't know if this is quite the vision I had when I went into this. However, I'm also not upset about it. A leaf creature. You're really gonna come in here and make me have a sip? For my fresh Target mug? Yes. Yes, good, thank you. We know I'm chronically dehydrated. And so what if we have our little... I'm gonna pick like a random green to be the base, just so we start from somewhere. Well, I don't really want to pick a random one. I have to find the one I like first. I want to be a little on the warmer side. Darker. I like that one. Yes, we are just going to color in this guy's little leaf hoodie. This is definitely going to be a creature that I revisit in the future. I love the idea. I love the concept. And maybe one day I will just redraw him in far greater splendor. He'll be beautiful and unmatched. A fantastic and lovely creature. I'll just have to do more studies of like what leaves look like. Strange, peculiar plant forms. Let's take like the Pokemon approach. Just find strange and interesting things and just make creatures out of them. Different forms and shapes of things that do already exist, but we can just make them our own. I suppose that's kind of what I've already been doing, just taking real life birds and making them my own. But this time it's fantasy flavored. And not just fantasy adjacent. We're going to have ourselves an army of birds. A wild collection. And this pleases me. You know what? I'm gonna give you guys the full view. Because I realize I don't really need that Google tab open. Like, my fat head keeps getting in the way of the art, so, on the stream. So we'll just remove that issue. Putting the art front and center. And then everything will be okay. I do have to say, since I did get to play Graveyard Keeper on stream on Sunday, I have not stopped thinking about the game and I want to keep playing it so bad. And honestly, I might just start like resource gathering off stream. Mosh Pit Monk, more purred, yes. Sippy has been had. Now I'm thinking I might just go onto Graveyard Keeper to resource gather off stream so that on stream I can just focus on more story stuff. And I think everyone will be happier. It means I will progress faster and we'll actually get to see more of the story and not just me bumbling around and trying to remember what mechanics are. Although I guess some people like watching things like that. But, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm more interested in showing everyone the story than I am showing everyone me chopping down wood and lugging it across the map to my house. But that said, today, this Tuesday, is the final stream of Bird. There will be no more bird doodling. I mean, there might be more bird doodling, just like unrelated to Bestiary February. But the streams as they have been for the past few weeks shall be no more. We will have to find something else to move on to. Greener pastures, if you will. And as far as I'm aware, there's not actually going to be a challenge on World Anvil for March. So I have to find my own thing to do. Which, I mean, I would argue I have a lot of things that I could and should do. It's just the question of what do I want to do on stream for everyone to just observe and enjoy. Part of me is thinking, oh, well, you know what? I set myself a goal earlier today, and that goal is to have a primer written and like set up and laid out to introduce people to what my world is on World Anvil. So, a world primer for Malcora that I have been writing for several years. And so I think maybe my streams during this month and who knows, maybe even more in the future, if I, depending on how long it takes for me to just kind of get through it all, they will just be about showing everyone what my world is about. And that will come with writing some like article shenaniganery, layouts, and maybe some art. So I'm thinking, if I'm going to make something to introduce my world, like the whole setup, the whole everything, like I certainly don't want to rely on AI art for that, as I have for a lot of my other articles. Because like for all my other articles, they're kind of rapid fire. You know, I'm just like writing, putting things out, because I'm always writing during competitions. And so, because I'm always writing during competitions, they need to be done quickly and submitted very fast. So I never have time to just sit down and do my writing. But that will not be the case for this. I could take a whole month. It's not like due or anything, so it's not like I have to race against a timer. I just take a whole month, relax, write myself a world primer, make some illustrations that I think really summarize or put on display what Malcora is and what it means to me. And I think that'd be really cool. My next side project. I'm kind of going with like this little like green and purple foliage. I must say I do not hate it. I certainly don't. Like, also, what if the little guy himself was purple under all the leaves? Like, what if that guy just is a little purple man? Maybe he's a little brighter, maybe to stand out a little. Just a little purple guy. He is a cute little sweetie. Yeah, so he's like a little purple bird covered up by leaves. I love him. And some of that purple shows up on the leaves outside. A nice little creature. I do want to thank everyone who's just been coming to my streams and showing love to all my lovely little birds that I've been making. From all the suggestions for things I should do, and for just the general love that you are putting on some of the wackier creatures that I've come up with. It has been so wonderful and so lovely and so affirming. And honestly, it is what makes me want to just keep doing it and keep making more. And hopefully, one of these days, I will just shower everyone in bird. There will be no escaping the bird. It will be an absolute onslaught. Cool little bird. Or, see, alternatively, I have been lamenting the fact that I just don't have any bird emotes for my channel or for my server. So maybe I could also just take some time to just do some emote drawing. Take you all through my process of how I make emotes and how they come to be. Look at this little guy. I don't know, if you lived in like a totally normal place and you just saw one of these things fluttering around, you probably wouldn't think it's a normal bird, right? You'd probably stop and think twice, like, huh, some rowdy leaves on the wind or something. Little red beak. Refreshments. Ooh. Sip consumed. Why, thank you, thank you. Yes, so here's our little guy. He looks very cute. And so now I guess the question is he actually made of leaves or does he just look like leaves? Like, are these actually just feathers? Is he just very stylish? We could just, like... I don't know, man. Chlorophyll burb. Hey, he's just a little sweetie. So we just have one of these. And that's like the little leaf shape. Move this up here, maybe rotate this a little. Stretch it out slightly. Meet it. No. Really bad at this whole line thing, oh my god. We have this little feather. Is leaf is also feather? It's very nice, very silly. I don't really know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of just making something that I can add on here. We just have these peculiar little pattern. Maybe it's like a hybrid of leaf and feather. So it is neither one nor the other, but it also is kind of both. So we just have this kind of interesting little situation here. Maybe from these centers we have the pink coming through. So yeah, it's just a working theory, you could say. If, what if like the beak just like I'm a little bit less sold on that than I thought I might be originally, but that's okay. Because you know what? The creature itself is lovely, and I think it's very cute. Let's see, maybe... Why? Okay, that's why. Correct brush. Just kind of doing this to get some shine on the middle. Oh, my smoothing is up really high. That's why this is so annoying to work with right now. I'm trying to drag my brush very quickly, and it's just it's being slowed down so much because I had the smoothing turned up. I'm trying to do most of this without the smoothing turned on. I'm just trying to draw without it a lot more than maybe I used to. Yeah. So here's our little boy. And so maybe this is a tiny little mythical creature that people in Arsavella have sometimes maybe laid eyes on, but no one really takes it seriously. No one really believes it, because, I mean, what are you, crazy? Plants don't fly. Plants cannot be bird. And so if you try to tell anyone that this is what you've seen, they probably laugh you out of town. Even though we know, out of the world, our out-of-world knowledge, we know that magic exists. Magic is real. But they'll never believe you. Such a silly thing to even think of. Yeah. So we're just gonna export this image. We're going to... See, I don't know if I want to add this to the article quite yet, or if I want to do that maybe later. I know I've kind of been doing it just like during stream every single time. But at least let's upload it. Oh, we can just stare we can just stare at this screen real quick. I'll get this guy front and center for everyone to just kind of stare at while I do all this other stuff. Yes, I have decided to name this a little pinnate hummer. Because that, like that leaf pattern that I have on the tail is kind of like a, I don't know if I even pronounce it correctly, like pinnate. Where there's like the stem and there's like the leaves coming off the side. That's what that is. And so I'm going to name it after that. And I really like it as a name. A little pinnate hummer. Oh, maybe I can... I'm just gonna look up how... Pinnate, okay. Yeah. So it's a pinnate hummer. A little hummingbird. And I can open this. And it takes me right back to my Bestiary February article. Beautiful, lovely. Go down to our footer section. Open her up. And now we shall grab all of this. Just for the formatting. Copy, paste. Grab our image code. Pop it in there. Our pinnate hummer. But now the real question is... Ooh, what has happened? Arkiba97, hello. Hello, how are you? Thank you for following. It is nice to see you. We have made bird. You can see... there. Bird. Learning how to point on my own screen. Oh man, I heard the little badoops and I just kind of... Like, I picked up my mug, like, oh, it is sippy time, but no. At least it could be soon. I have already lost where I have... Oh, there it is. I have been refreshed. See, I can't mention it without someone just being like, oh, is it time? Is it time for a little sippy? See, you're out here with a sippy emote already. You came prepared. And so I'm thinking maybe... Well, not maybe. This is going to be for prompt 7, which is our mythical prompt. And thus we have here the pinnate hummer. I'm always prepared, yeah. I can see this. But yes, what shall we say about our pinnate hummer? Not, I'm encountering the very common, much lamented feature of being a writer, where you are the writer, but the words do not write. The write does not words. It's very difficult. Yes, So there are many stories throughout the land. So there are many stories throughout the land of strange and peculiar birds. The pinnate hummer is not known to be one belonging to the lands of Arsavella. It's a foreign bird. It's unknown to this place. People have seen it. southeast, no, not southeast, southwest, southwestern reaches of the kingdom. Have started to tell stories. Oh, hello, who has come? Oh, nice, nice, nice. Thank you, Dampened Father Figure, for tipping $1.69. A 10 out of 10 Borb. I appreciate you. I even took a sippy in your honor. Yeah, that emote. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. So yes, though there are many stories throughout the land of strange and peculiar birds, the pinnate hummer is not known to be one belonging to the lands of Arsavella. Nevertheless, those residing in the southwestern reaches of the kingdom have started to tell stories of hummingbirds who emerge from the forest across the river only to quickly disappear when spotted. And so that is our little myth from southwestern Arsavella. These little hummingbirds who are very leafy. I suppose I could put more emphasis on the fact that they are leafy birds, but we shall scroll on through to our little guy, and there he is, our little guy. Isn't he just precious? I very much like this little guy. A little guy, yeah. Very cute. I like how we've gone from very small guy to very big guy back to tiny guy. We're like in a little pattern here. I guess it's not much of a pattern. But yeah, we have such a lovely little collection of birds. I'm having one of those moments right now where I'm just kind of sitting back like, oh man, it has been a very long time since I've been able to, well, find feathery fellows, yes indeed, but it's been a very long time since I've been able to just sit down and look at like a collection of my work and be like, not only did I make all of this, like yes, this is all my work, but like I made it all recently, like I made it all very quickly, I didn't agonize over it, it wasn't stressful. Like I really have just made art for me that made me feel good and happy and excited. And it is now art that I get to share with all of you. Everyone watching, everyone just hanging out. Ah. And of course, me feeling like this, I'm just, you know. I hope that everyone present has their own little endeavors that they're getting to pursue. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, there's not a whole lot that feels better than just setting goals for yourself and seeing them come through. And this is a lot of what these birds are for me. And so, now we must think of another magical bird. So what are you guys maybe thinking as far as what we could do for another magical creature bird? So I'm trying to think, like this one was very, very thematic to the nearby region. That is Nimavi. It's basically this huge, like extremely dense magical forest that like forces of magic are very strong in this place because the ley lines are just like shawhoop, here we are. We're gonna mess with your whole ecosystem. And those effects don't quite reach our Savella, which is where all these very normal birds are from. But of course, since they are very close to this place, you get the occasional little creature that just kind of flutters into sight and they're like, ooh, the air here doesn't feel good, and so they leave. That's kind of what I imagine is what stops most of these creatures from venturing out into other lands. Like if they are by nature magical creatures, they probably don't want to stray too terribly far from the magic of their origin. And so why would they show up in this place? It's like bone dry of any magical influence, really. They just don't want to be there. And so they never show up. You relate to my Borbs? Which ones? Do you feel like this guy? You made him such beautiful art. Should I pull up the art again? The beautiful art that you've created? Let me see. Let me go grab it real quick because it deserves to be shown off again. I already showed it on stream, but it has to be. Ooh. There he is. There he is. The beautiful sea scamp, elongated. For those who did not get to see it like a couple days ago, last week. Long boy. Yes. Oh, you have more in the works. Oh no. Yeah, I saw you making the very round version. You are truly a gift to this world. Oh man, you guys know that picture? Hold on, of Long Ferret. Let me see if I can. Let me see if the Google will not let me down here. Aha! Okay, let me just boom. You guys know this picture of Long Ferret? I almost want to make a bird like this. Like, imagine it's just like a goose or something. Like a goose or a swan. And it just looks like this. I love this picture. But anyway. You guys can let me know what you think about that idea. I think it's hilarious. Like, if we just have a relatively normal looking goose, but its neck just kind of does that. What a wild creature that would be. I'm trying to think, like, what flavor of magic in my world would cause something like that. So maybe I could make it like a regional thing. Angie. I don't know, cause the arcane in my world is just like an amplifying magic. So on its own, it doesn't technically do a whole lot. It just takes what's there and makes it more. So theoretically, if there is an animal, you take an animal that already has long, maybe the arcane would simply make it longer. You know? So maybe the people of Arsavella can have terrible, dangerous encounters with these rogue geese who come in from Namavi with they long ass necks, a stork with legs for months, not just days. Oh my god. Absolutely. Taking a sippy because I'm thirsty. Unprompted. So you guys are getting me into the habit of actually taking sips of my own accord. Terrible. How could you do this to me? You dare get me to hydrate myself. It is appalling, and I cannot believe you. Secretary bird with 5 times longer legs. Yo. Ooh. Oh, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Oh no. Do not do this to me, please. The stomp me energy. True, secretary birds are very stompy. So you need to just get like a picture of a goose like actively attacking somebody and use that as a reference. Like this right here. Like here we go. This is I would say this is the average end result of someone from Arsavella attempting to enter the forests of Nimavi. They have no idea what they're in for. They have no idea what they're gonna find. And it's whatever they do find is just not gonna be okay with them being there. And so that's why people just don't go. See, everyone's like, oh, the forests are filled with these dangerous creatures. Don't go in there. And then you get there, it's just like, long goose. Oh shoot, I just... Hold up, I don't know if you can, I don't know if you can see on my stream screen. But I've just created layer 69. Can I get a nice in chat, please? For the boys. Nice, thank you. Thank you, that's everything I wanted. Well, anyway. So we have goose. Yes. And so I imagine... I'm just gonna do what we have been doing, just kinda block it out, just kinda get generic... Kinda what the bird looks like. Don't mind my wacky sketching. I pretend to be a good artist on TV. Just gonna get this out of here. So there we go. We have, okay, so if we have, like... Pretend. Do not fight me. We already discussed today. If we ever got in a fight, I'd probably win. Maybe. And so we have goose shape. There's like the little goose drumsticks here. Goose feet. We're gonna pretend that's what that looks like. It's okay, we trust in the process, I promise. Make this come out a little more. Go down, please, thank you. We trust in the process here, boys. Boys and creatures. So, if we're gonna do something long neck goose, make sure all this looks decent. That's on the eraser, haha. Here I'm trying to draw stuff and it's just giving me the eraser still. And so we got some goose feet. Who doesn't love some of that? CVS is attempting to get me to come in and have another shot, which I probably will do at some point, but not today. There's bird butt. So yeah, we just have this creature. I'm just I am procrastinating on drawing this neck for as long as possible for semi-obvious reasons. I want to do this bird justice, just to the vision that I have in my brain. And I'm having one of those artist moments where I'm like, oh man, I can kind of cold feet, you know what I'm saying? Anyway. Here we are. We have wing. Alright. Oh no, I closed. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so. How are we gonna do this? This is the grand dilemma of our age. And so I'm just gonna see if we can plan out the pattern. If we do something like that, I just need to make sure that I do this correctly. Like, bird necks on their own are already just so strange. Just in the way that they're constructed and how they work. Alright. This creature looks absolutely horrendous. Just not in like how I've drawn it per se, but just in what it is. Like, can you imagine just running into this thing? Erase all these extra lines that I used as guides. Weird long neck. Long bird. Just why it do that? Why it be long? It's no good. Although, I don't know. I just don't know how know if I want this to be quite so long where the head comes in. Let me see what a goose looks like when it's yelling at someone. Just mid honk, in attack mode, if you will. Have you guys ever been like chased by a goose before? I personally have not, but I've watched other people get like actively pursued, like hot pursuit by goose. It's pretty horrifying. Not gonna lie to you. Those things, they don't care about war crimes. They will just commit them. Like, Geneva Conventions? More like Geneva Suggestions. That is how the geese think. Yeah, you've been chased by a swan? Yeah, I completely believe you. They're mean. Peace was never an option. Yeah. Yeah, so we have goose here. And here we have goose. You know, I'm really happy with how that like beak turned out. I wasn't really sure as I was drawing it in, but you know, I actually think it looks quite nice. Now that I'm having a real look at it. So yeah, here's our terrible goose. This terrible magical goose with a corkscrew neck. And so you know that thing. If you try to grab it in any way, it's just going to spin its neck around to hit you and evade you. So, not a creature you want to encounter in your travels, I would say. But now, how do we color the goose? Just adding details in here. Little shweep swoops, if you will. I'm like ultra focus mode trying to draw feathers. They're not gonna be perfect. I could spend half a year just on here trying to make these feathers look like ideal, perfect little things. But no, we are here to birth these creatures into existence. Perhaps not rapid fire, but I still think that the creation of 2 to 3 birds is a lot of creation of birds. And so, now what color do I want this bird to have? I feel compelled to give it like a pretty classic kind of white. Little white kind of, at least on the neck. So it's very easy to tell if it's been bloodied. So we just have this guy here. Maybe I want Maybe I want the head to be a different color? Maybe this is where we have this kind of like dark desaturated blue come in, and all the bird really knows is darkness and evil. And this shows on its face. I kind of do like the white here, so maybe goose top of head is white. Maybe down to here it's all white. Then we go back to the blue. Oh, sorry, I'm getting all crunchy. Me sitting in one spot for too long, my neck just like turbo crunches the next time I start moving it. Of course, I'm trying not to adjust myself terribly much because I feel like that just looks really weird on camera when I'm just like scooting and booting all over the place. But yes, so here we have it. We have a bird coming together, I dare say, quite nicely. This absolutely cursed creature will annihilate your bones if given the chance. Oh yeah, like you know how giraffes fight? I imagine that is exactly the form of combat these geese would employ. So they'll just swing their necks around at you, and they will strike you with such tremendous force. And yes, so here we have that. I am debating, of course, if I want it all to be one color, or if I want there to be some variation. Maybe these tail feathers probably going to be dark. Because I do like that. I do like the way that looks. What if we get some wacky kind of like a reddish orange? And that will be beak tone. The beaks and defeats. So here is a very angry goose. Is coming for your nuggets. Better hide those bad boys. Because once the goose has its eyes set upon your nuggets, they are forfeit. Goose. But yeah, I'm a fan of this terrible creature. And it also does remind me that I have Untitled Goose Game in my Steam library that I have not played yet, and I must. And I really look forward to the day when I get to. So what a spectacular game. Maybe we get some lighter color in here. And the lighter color is what lives down here. Yeah, how do we feel about that one? Now look at this awful stinky goose. I'm a fan of it. I'm a big fan of it. Stinky. Yeah, well, goodbye, color. Just drag this around for a little while. Make like an abstract art piece for like the colors over here. It'll be fun. Just put it over here instead. We shall not do that. And I don't know, I think corkscrew neck goose speaks for itself. And so we are going to save this bird. And we are going to see what description we can come up with it. For it, I mean. We're going to very ceremoniously name it the coil goose. And here I am, still looking at my ferret picture. Here you go, you can look at angry goose while I do all of my little logistical explorations. As we do our little upload. Change the file name. Now see, my dilemma is, do I want this creature to be a part of these, like, this general region, or do I just want it to be something that exists somewhere in my world? And I do also think I'm trying to think of which prompt I want this to be. To, like, springneck silly goose. Yeah. Have you been watching the process of me creating this springneck silly goose? It's a very cursed creature. Yeah. I'm trying to think of which prompt I want it to be for. Because I have the options. The ones I'm looking at right now. We could call it danger, which I think is pretty good. Or we could call it predator. Also good. Like, look at that thing. That's the face of a predator. And honestly, I think those are like the only two good options for what I've cooked in the studio today. For the energy we've brought into the studio today. And I think I will stick with prompt number 10, which is going to be danger. You know, I like the idea. Yeah, it's a danger noodle. I like the idea of this creature being found somewhere in some region where, like, the ley line of agitation is most prevalent. Because I kind of imagine this being like a creature where, like, so much tension is stored in that spring of its neck. How it looks at this creature. How in the world does it eat? That's a good question. It gets there eventually. But I imagine there's so much tension in this spring-loaded neck that it's so aggressive because it just needs to let it all out. And so that is why this thing is so dangerous, because it always wants to fight. It's just a very angry creature. Yeah, talking about having knots in one's neck, yeah. See, I already have knots in my neck as it is. I don't really need those kinds too. Not ideal. Oh, a big yawn. I just big yawn myself. Something about me just ain't right. So I feel compelled almost to have a gander at one of my maps. Because I don't know if I have... What am I looking for? How do I... Oh man, how do I access my chronicle without hitting like the edit button? Okay, I'll just find it with the article to which it is bound. I guess, I'll pop through my community events article. Oh wait, no, that's not the one I was thinking of. First World Building Awards article. My bad. Because it is in here. Eehoo. Well, antecedents is where it's from. Oh my gosh, link is right there and I just ignored it. Okay. So we have this little chronicle here. That's not where we're supposed to be though. Is it in here? No, no, no. Current age. You know, it could be. It could instead be from the region out here. So way far west. Because this is where all these birds are from that we're talking about. Where all the birds that I have built for this event are from this section of my map here. With my magical little hummingbirds coming from this region right here. But of course, like I said, since all these magical creatures are rather bound to the magics of their origin, they tend not to leave, or at least not go very far from, like, the center of where this magic is coming from. So for them to go across the river and be spotted there, it's very rare. It's also very rare for people from here to ever cross this river to go into this zone. They pretty much only ever travel westward up through here. Iris Brianna. Like, they'll basically circumvent this entire region, because it's... Of course, most of the people don't really know about magic as a concept. They don't get it, they're just never told about it, they don't talk about it. Everyone who rules the city, of course, knows these things exist, and they try to make sure that the people also kind of don't know about it. They don't want that cat out of the bag, as they say. So they're like, yes, don't go to the woods ever, thank you. Just go to our lovely little sister, a little neighbor nation over here. If you want to go elsewhere, just, you know, go through the mountains to Uris Halna from Uris Brianna. And yes, you just don't go here if you're a normal person. You go over here, or you go over here. And then carry on your journey through these lovely valleys, and over here, and over here. And then you have all this. And some of this. This map isn't fully up to date either. This is from my, chronicle that I made forever ago at this point. Or it feels like forever ago. It was only last year. But yeah. So I'm thinking, maybe, these are geese who live over here in the caldera. Because this is a place in which the ley line of vegetation did at one point be very, very present. But now I imagine it's only present in like a couple small pockets, in like minor emergences. And that is where you would find such strange creatures like this one. Well, get rid of that there, haha. And so yes, we have the coil goose. The coil goose is indeed not native to our Savella to the great caldera in the west. Caldera is such a good word. I really like it. Yes, the great caldera in the west. We can call this a little bonus. Little bonus. It's not part of the main theme, but it is now present in my article as a bird of the world. It is indeed not native to Arsavella, but to the great caldera in the west. Known to gather in. I'm trying to put together if I want. Like, we know how geese kind of like stick together, you know, like in these kind of these big groups. I feel like if we had these geese sticking together in groups like that, they would just be like a roving death mob. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would not be good for anybody, not even themselves. But it also could be really funny for just a bajillion of these things to be here. Like, imagine you're playing D&D and you're just going to this new place. And they're like, ah, okay, you see a goose. It's really weird. It has a coiled neck and it's acting very aggressive. And then you're like, okay, yeah, it's a bird. It's one bird. What could it possibly do? But then you hear a honk off in the distance and you look. And like, okay, there's another one coming. And then more honking from the tree line, and suddenly there's even more of them, and you're just, there's a whole goose family here. And then every single goose that you have just seen just brings like 3 more with it. And now suddenly you are surrounded by terrible coiled neck geese who are extremely aggressive, just off the bat, because why not? And now you just roll for initiative. Enjoy, have fun with your terrible geese. So I'm just gonna say, known to gather in large flocks around areas in which the ley line of agitation is emerged. These magical creatures are a menace and pose great danger to, I'm gonna say, everyday travelers. To the average human, these birds will completely run away with every possession you own, including your life. Sounds like a regular goose to me, though. Known for their strange coiled necks, these geese will attack by swinging their heads wildly as weapons. Yeah, so there's that terrible creature. I love it. And thus we have the coil goose. And yes, for those who have only just recently joined us, this is bird number 2 of the day. For bird number 1 was the pinnate hummer, our lovely little leaf bird from Nimavi, which is just southwest of Arsavella. These are some good birds. And yes, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't know if I fully have it in me today to draw another completely new bird. And so, I think maybe I'll take the rest of my stream just kind of plan what we're gonna do creatively, just what creative projects we want to do for the coming month. Because, of course, whatever I choose to do right now is going to be what I do on stream with you guys for, again, the next month. And so, I'm trying to think. The reason we're not getting a challenge on World Anvil this month is because it is going to be the month in which we have, like, community voting and a, like, ceremony for, I don't know if ceremony is true, but community votes at least for the World Anvil World Building Awards, which I so tediously strived to put together my map for. And so, let me get out of here. So I don't know if this is something I ever went over on stream, but I did put together a little article that's just basically me saying, hey, this is all the stuff that I submitted to this event. And so I really don't know how much of this, if any of it, is going to kind of like make it to the voting round. Because basically the judges are going to take their their choice of 5 from each category. And then we, the community, get to vote on who we like the most. And so I think maybe I think I'll just go over some of my submissions so you guys are at least a little familiar with what I've submitted. And so if you are from the World Anvil community, I of course would be eternally grateful if you see my name next week pop up on any of the lists as someone who is in the top 5 for any category. Maybe drop me a little vote. I would really appreciate it. I worked really hard to just get pretty much all of this done, but like only a couple things were really done for the awards, you know what I mean? Like my map is really the only thing that I put a ton of effort into and I'm having really like high hopes for. But yes, for the Hearts and Minds Awards 2022, which is an article touching on intellectual, sociological, spiritual, or cultural accomplishments and traditions of a people in your world. And so for that one, I submitted the glasscrafter profession that is practiced primarily by the Balkan people in Balkan. And so yes, we have the glasscrafters. They're king of the trades in Balkan to the point where half of the capital's like ruling class is glasscrafters. The Black Glass Consortium is it's the business collective comprised of Kamigan's premier tradecraft guilds, and at its head currently is one, let me get the article pulled up, Akara Gonsa, who used to be Grandmaster of the Glasscrafters Guild. And she put down that mantle to take control of the Black Glass Consortium. And so yes, during summer camp, I spent a ton of time writing about Balkan, this region, the people who live there. There was just a whole lot to it. And so glasscraft is so important to these people that it runs basically half their society. Tradecraft is absolute king in their society. It is like the highest ranked thing you can do. And if you're an excellent glasscrafter in Balkan, you might as well be nobility. It doesn't matter who you are or where you came from. If you are an expert in this craft, you are treated as a noble. It is that important to them. And so that is why it was my choice for Heart and Minds. And then for Rise of Nations, we have my article, like my challenge entry for On the Shoulders of Giants, which is to date one of my favorite articles that I've ever made for my world. We have it over here. Well, you know, if I'm gonna be showing you stuff, I might as well like show it on the big screen. And so yes, of course, we have antecedents with the little art, and the chronicle was part of this one. And we have this map that I made. Ooh, and some more art. This is all AI art, so I'm not like too impressed by it. I'm like, I made it. It's my article. I can say that. um, I don't feel like it is all fully my own because I've used AI art, but it makes it pretty. So that's really why. Because like it gets the feel across. It gets the vibe there. Yes. So the antecedents are the people who predated modern humanity in Malcora. They are essentially the humans who discovered magic, built a huge, sprawling magical empire, and then one day it all crashed down on them. And the fallout and the redemption, the rise from that fallout, is where we are today in Malcora. So the darkness has passed. The constant like strife and suffering of the Nameless Age is over, and people are living their lives in this world that has been kind of like ravaged by magic and maybe the mishandling of that magic. And so they're kind of living in a very flipped society where, with the antecedents in the old, like the golden age of magic is what I'm calling it, the people were extremely magical, but the lands were not. Like, the lands were as they are now, like in the real world, like they're just normal. They're normal lands, but the people have magic. But now, the lands are deeply magical, and it is very rare for a person to be able to command magic. So now it is human versus environment. Yeah, it's kind of the premise for my world. And yes, for wondrous nature, I have Volcan. Of course, that is the region I was discussing, where it's all volcanic and icky no good gross. And so yes, it is agitated and volatile. The ley line of agitation has emerged here in a major way and has just blown up everything. The ley lines are they're very different in how they affect the lands that they emerge in. And in this case, the ley line of agitation has caused crazy volatile volcanic activity in this region. And so basically the entire thing is just blackened stone, volcanoes, crags, and rocks. It's very cool, very fun. We have the Bolkeen people, who are those who live in this region, whether that's in the cities or just in the outskirts, and the Bexarim. And these are people who are bound to their homeland. They cannot leave no matter what because of an ancient curse of which no one knows the true origin. But of course, these people live very close to the border of a different region known as Everbright. And you see, Everbright, much as its name suggests, is always bright. And that means that the constant sunlight from this region bleeds into Volcan, precisely where these people live. And so it is always sunny, always very bright, and they really just can't get away from it. And from this, a cult was born, the Ashen Cloister. And this is actually the article that I submitted for just the open prompt of, like, best article. I don't know if I would necessarily call this, like, best article compared to a lot of other people's work. But I'm quite happy with it, just on my own. And this is, you're getting a look at some secret content real quick. Sorry, everything below here is like GM information, which I don't think is really important to gatekeep right now. And I wouldn't say gatekeeping. This is exactly the kind of stuff that you would click on this little Dawnbringer button right here. If you click on that, you can see like all this information down below. And this down here is for Patreon people. So yes, if you do support me on Patreon, there will be more content going forward that I'm going to be pushing to be either GM information or patron information, and it's just going to be all the stuff that I kind of rip from my challenge articles and further expand upon in kind of like in little secret places. So if you want the deep dives, I'm most certainly going to be putting more energy into getting that kind of content out. I'm very excited for it. Yes, the Ashen Cloister is a cult that does everything in their power, everything, just rituals and converting their fellow folk, to call out to their Ashen Divine to bring clouds to cover up the sun so that they can get a peaceful night's rest in the dark. And they see it as a sacrilegious mockery of the divine ash to attempt to seek shelter from the sun that you yourself have built. So, in the cities in which this cult is like very active, you're gonna see a lot of homes that just don't have roofs. Because they've been, and like you can see that maybe they used to, but they've been torn apart. So it's definitely something that the Bestiary are just like infighting about constantly. And it could go any direction. And so for Strength and Honor, once again we have an article from Volcan, and that is a seething primal insurrection. See, with the environment of Volcan being as volcanic and volatile as it is, the primal elementals of fire very much liked living here. They still do, they still continue to. But when the people started making permanent settlements here, they felt very threatened. They did not like that. And so, through some conniving tactics and weaseling their way into the hearts of the people who live there, many of whom share a blood ancestry with elementals, because there is a world spirit bloodline that people can belong to. And so they spoke to these people, and they actually got them to turn on their own city to try and break it down so that these elementals did not have to deal with them permanently settling here. And so that is what that is about. And for the Pillars of Progress, I didn't have anything I felt really, really fit, so I suggested the Earthen Wards. That stave off oblivion. They're large structures created by the progenitors of the Earthen Kingdoms, which ward against powerful magic draining effects. And this comes into play with Yulrorim, which is a region in the south of Malgora, south of Nephirin, that's the continent, in which the ley line of oblivion has emerged and has been going strong for a very long time. And the only thing that's stopping it from expanding too much are these Earthen Wards. And so that is a technology that is, I would say, life-changing for the people of this world. Then for the myths and legends, I have the Tales of Fogstone, which isn't a particularly fleshed out article either, but it's actually the only myth that I have available to me, so it's the one I submitted. There's another summer camp entry. But yes, the Tales of Fogstone are a collection of myths and tales told among the people of Lithica and the Eastern Kingdoms. But I will say, it is something that I really enjoyed. And I detailed one specific tale in this article, and that is of the Stone Witch and her minions. That is of the Stone Witch Janarka and her cruel minions. While the tale states that the witch herself is long past, a memory of an age long gone, her minions yet remain, and seek to continue her mission of destruction and pain. Thus these minions hide themselves amidst the stones of the environment, cloaking themselves in images of stone while awaiting their next victims. To be under the watch of such a minion is said to put victims into states of deep anxiety and distress over time, with the creatures only revealing themselves to descend on their prey once they are weakened. And so from this tale was born a number of cultural phrases, largely revolving around the idea of having minions about. It is common for residents of Lithica to use descriptors such as under the watch of tiny eyes, or a favorite of the minions, when their subject is experiencing great emotional distress for no discernible reason. Some may say, minions peer through my windows, or other variants of the same notion to describe days where their own anxiety feels too much to bear. So that's just one little thing that I wrote about that I thought it was fun. I thought it was, I don't know, it's one of those things where, like, I just like creating I like creating things and tying it to the actual cultures of the world and like making it like a real living, breathing thing. Like there's so many people in World Anvil who are amazing at doing things like that, where they'll come up with a concept, they'll write a whole article about it, and then they'll also devote entire sections to be like, this is how people interact with this. This is how it actively affects the culture. And I know like the example that always comes to mind, like first and foremost, is like TJ, um, who writes Melior. Like every single article that I've ever seen from him, he just like he writes about something, and he's like, okay, here's some cultural significance for you. Just gonna drop that there real quick, and I just it's so good. And yes, of course, we have Time and Space Award, which is the Chronicles. My Chronicle, it's kind of a mess. It's kind of all over the place. The timeline is whack because I haven't even figured out the timeline for myself. But I thought it was really cool. It was what I was clicking through earlier when I was kind of finding a place for my goose to live. But of course, this my baby. It doesn't really look as good in the preview, but because it's like this very small section of it. But yes, for the Cartography Award 2022 for the best original interactive map created on World Anvil in 2022. And yes, so let's just open it full size. Those of you who have watched my streams before likely already know what this is and what it looks like. But yes, we have this ink-stained map of what should have been the world is now Nefirin. And I have these little boxes. Yeah, so I have little boxes that have little like story snippets of like all of these simply describe like imagine you are in character and you are with this cartographer and you are physically looking at this map. That is what these little icons are describing. So like this little region down here, like you see it doesn't have any markers or anything. It's not labeled as a place. And so you have this little thing. It's like, what's this one? You ask about this yet unmarred continent, but the cartographer simply shakes his head. He clearly is not willing to speak with you about this land. Perhaps he had a rough history with it. So things like that. It's just the flavor, you know? So I'm just absolutely jazzed about this little creation that I've made. And so this is like my baby of the world building awards. This is the one I'm like, if this isn't gonna get into top 5 anywhere, nothing else is likely to. Of my submissions, at least. But yeah, so every single region on here has the name, a little snippet, a little flavor text, an image, and then little like 2 baby paragraph description of what it is. Making this map was absolutely fantastic for me because it helped me learn a lot about my own world. I thought about so many things that normally I just kind of don't. Anyway, let us go back. And like I said, best world building article, I submitted Ashen Cloister because I just thought it was a really cool idea with a lot of like fleshed out background stuff. I don't know how much into the background stuff they're actually going while they're judging these, but the fact that there's so much surrounding this gives me high hopes. And then for most beautiful world, this is just for layout, formatting, images, maps, aesthetic, and more, and how well it fits with your world's concept. And so I submitted Kingdom of Arsavella, which I just think is a lovely article because I have this map that I made and then just some occasional imagery. This isn't, this is more what it's supposed to look like. Sorry, my screen is just, my stream screen doesn't fully accommodate this at maximum width, but this is kind of how it's supposed to sit. So I'll just, go back here. And yes, so I have all the lands and all the everything. Yeah, it's out of whack when it's squished down, but it's fine. Antecedents, which is the article you already saw. and Iskani, which is one of the races in my world. And I submitted this one mostly just because I have like my own sketch art here. And that just, yeah, it's not too exciting of an article on its own, but just like this artwork here. And I feel like the Iskani really kind of like they really sum up what the world is like. Cuz like these are people who are just very, very strongly touched by the natural forces of the world. Like, they literally have primal blood running through their veins that makes them part primal. And so, while they are beings built from this magic, again, the people of the world themselves are not particularly magically oriented themselves. They're just, like, shaped and built by that magic, but they don't control it. So yeah, and here's my little thank you. Thank you for checking out my work. I'm so very proud of the steps I've taken in the past year to jump back into my creativity and fall headfirst back into a hobby that's brought me so much joy. Oops, I clicked on the tab. So yes, this has been an experience that has made me very happy. The fact that I was even able to muster the courage to submit anything is already a huge step up from where I was last year creatively and just as a person. And so, if anyone wishes to look through these articles themselves, there is the link for you. I welcome you to go just browse and read and just do whatever. But again, I'm super proud of these, and so I do humbly ask for any World Anvilites who are sitting in the chat right now, if you see my name pop up within the next week for community votes, I would really appreciate if you gave me a little vote. I, of course, am also going to be voting. I know. I don't know who I'm gonna vote for yet, because I know there's gonna be so much good stuff. That is next week. Yeah, it's next week. It is on the 4th. Right? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if any of mine made the cut either, but I wanna know. Ugh. But yeah, it's spooky. Let's see if I can, especially since I forgot to submit one for the article that I should have. Oh no. Yeah, that's just the worst. Oh, hold on. Challenges. I'm just gonna see what the timeline is for World Building Awards. Oh, please take me there. Link. Okay, so timeline. Yeah, so March 4th through March 17th. Once our judges have determined the top 5, their community votes for their winner in each category. Oh, it has over 100 likes. That is so cool. I feel like I'll just share and share and share my work, and then nobody like gives it a like or anything, and I'm just like, I wish to be liked. Or I wish my work to be liked. I know people like me. I can't be mean to myself. I'm sure there are several people in this chat who will fight me for being mean to myself. You are right that I probably haven't seen your tavern article. Maybe, probably. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, see, true. I know you will fist fight me in the work parking lot if I'm mean to myself, so. But yes, March 4th, which is conveniently the day that I stream. So I don't know if that means that the votes are going to be out. Drop a link for in your Discord? Yeah, go for it. You can totally drop the link in my Discord. And if anyone does not know, I do have a Discord server. I just popped the link in the chat for you. If you want to come join and hang out, just come have little chats. It's also where you are going to see me announcing my streams and basically everything else. It's where I announce my streams, it's where I announce everything, it's where I post my art when I finish it. Like, all of that stuff. It's all in there. And plus, you get access to all of my emotes. all of my me's, like the ones that Arcuba just put in the chat. I don't actually know. I don't know if the frogs are in there. I might have to throw them in at some point. They're in my other server. But yes, you get access to such wonderful things as the Gyoza Cheer. Very, very wonderful. That emote on its own is a $3 value in my Etsy shop. So joining the server is just value in your pocket. Drop the link. Wahoo! You want me to have a peep at it right now? You have a couple minutes to just sit and hang out, so... Lover's Tavern. Ooh. Lover's Tavern, for lovers to escape from the world for a brief time. Ooh. You know, yeah, we got 4 minutes to burn. We'll just have a little peep. That is if you want me to have a peep. I will not have a peep if you do not wish for me to do so live. Go ahead, okay. Yeah. Oh, so let's see what we got here. Ooh. Very fun, very cool. I like me an article with like lots of content. How the tavern appears to those not in love. Ooh. Only those truly in love with one another can find the tavern. Tavern is much more than just a place for one to get a drink and a bite to eat. It is a getaway from the world with the one person who truly loves you. The tavern knows this and makes sure that whatever your heart desires, it creates for you. That's a really cool idea. It is a place of complete mystery for everyone except those in love. It's very cute. Included location, River of the Goddess of Love. I feel like I remember seeing that article. Like, like this article, I specifically think I recall seeing at some point, just kind of floating around the site. Yes, let's see what the rumors about this tavern are. They constructed the tavern where the goddess of love and shadow, oh god, spent their first night together. That's fun. The tavern has some sentience. The innkeeper is a manifestation of the goddess of love herself. The tavern can play host to multiple lovers at the same time. Very nice, very nice, very nice. And so yeah, this post is liked by 116 world builders. And we're gonna make that 117. Ooh, I do like this artwork right here. Oh, I can't scroll down. On the stream, I mean. Oh well. It's very cool. You'll have to take my word for it. Yeah, it's a cool artwork. I do love the idea of this tavern. It's a little escape from the world for you and your love. Yeah, I'll have to give this like a more in-depth read in the future. But for now I must say that it is time to end the stream. And so I'm going to once again send you over to my friend Grinning Hazard, who's on, what is it now, day 5 of his subathon? Looks like he's currently playing Among Us. That's always a hit. I love, I don't know, I love watching people play this game because it's just so funny. It's even, I don't know what's better, watching it or having me and all my friends playing it and like screaming at each other once the comms turn on. But yes, thank you so much everybody for joining me for the whole month of Bestiary February. I promise you I will find out what I'm going to be doing on Saturday stream before Saturday stream, so we actually know what's up and what we're doing. I would say look forward to some writing, world building, maybe some doodling and sketching, depending on how far we get into our concepting. I think I may just be setting up a world primer for my world. So, if I don't come up with something else to do, that will be what is on the table. World primer, introduce everyone to Malcora, and have a article ready to go that I can just send people when they ask me, oh, so what is this world like that you're world building? Because for the longest time I have deeply struggled with answering that question in a cohesive and concise way, mostly because my concepts and ideas were not fully fleshed out yet at the time. They still remain not fully complete, of course, but with every passing just thing that I write for myself and for my world, I'm getting a more solid idea of who I am and what I'm doing as a writer, and it's very good. So yes, unless the plan changes, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be on here. I'll have a world building stream. We're going to be writing my world primer, and I invite you to bring your own creative projects that you will be working on alongside me, and I will be so glad to hear about them. Just light up the chat with all these creative moments, creativity happening. And who knows, depending on when community voting starts for world building awards, I might make an event of just like showing people what's what and maybe see who I'm voting for. I don't know if I should stream who I'm voting for. I don't know if that's like a good or correct thing to do. I don't know. Maybe I'll go over what the lineup is and then cast my votes on my own time. But I don't know. Anyway, we are going to be rating Grinning Hazard, playing Among Us. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their night. Thank you all so much for joining me. And I'm just so glad to have everyone here. Creative community, everyone have a wonderful and fantastic night. Bye!
More beans.
Let's fucking go!
Biscuit, I need more beans. Oh my god. Strix.
Hi, Strix.